live from the NSCAA National Office located in historic Union Station in Kansas City. We're here with NSCAA Director of Coaching Education, Ian Barker, who is here today announcing the brand new NSCAA Coaching Development courses. So Ian, could you briefly explain what the new Coaching Development courses are and how they came to be?
I can do that, Emily. For those of you that were familiar, I can remind you, and for those of you that weren't, I can explain to you what we previously had. In the non-residential delivery, we had levels 1 through 6, and they progressed from level 1 up to level 6 in intensity and complexity. But you didn't have to begin at 1. Depending on your level of experience, you could self-select into that process. We also prefaced those courses with a 3-hour online program called the Online Level 1. So there was a total of 7 offerings in that original piece. And what we've done now is contracted it down to 3 in-person delivery courses and maintaining the 1 online piece.
Great. And so can I ask why the shift to this new curriculum, and how do you think coaches are going to benefit from it?
Good question. Level 1 through 6 was a little challenging for people to understand if they didn't read the descriptors next to the courses. That is to say, some people thought 6 was the entry level and 1 was the highest and vice versa. Also, we were putting a lot of content and perhaps forcing it into 6 levels when really we could have done 3 or 4. So that was one part. And the other part was the new US Soccer Player Development Initiatives have created a very new environment for a lot of youth coaches. And we're talking a lot now consistently about 4 versus 4, 7 versus 7, 9v9, and 11v11. And so consequently, we tried to rewrite the courses to be more contextual, applicable, and practical, and also help coaches understand what type of content relative to what they're coaching we'd be dealing with.
Okay, great. And so what specific types of coaches will benefit from these courses, and who are they really geared towards?
Well, the online course, which we call the Foundations of Coaching, previously the Online Level 1, I would argue that every coach should have that on their computer somewhere, the 8 chapters of it, and be referring to it on a regular basis. That would be my opinion, because I think it's foundational and necessary for every coach to remind themselves, be it communication, motivation, developmentally appropriate training, etc. The other content is broken into 3 hours, 9 hours, and 12 hours. So with the 3-hour program for 4v4, we're not suggesting a mastery in coaching, we're just suggesting how a coach who's got a 4v4 team, under 6, under 8, could perhaps survive a season of managing kids that age with good content conducted in the 4v4 environment. So I think it's definitely targeting kind of a grassroots, but grassroots can be defined as mum and dad coaches not compensated for their time, up to coaches working in fairly strong youth clubs who are compensated for their time, but they need refreshed ideas to manage, again, the practical reality of the player development initiatives and the new environment, the new consistent environment.
And so when will coaches be able to access these courses?
Well, people have actually started signing up to host them as of today, which is good. But we're offering delivery of them. People can start to schedule now, and we'll begin delivering them about October the 17th. We're just refining the last bits of the content in terms of the manual and the presentations, and then we want to make sure that our current instructional staff can take the content which they've been dealing with in large part already, but manipulate it appropriately. So we're looking to begin delivery October 17th.
And with that, how will coaches be able to access these courses and where?
Okay, so obviously the online one, everybody who's listening right now can go on and sign up for the Foundations of Coaching / Level 1 deployment immediately. And that sits on your laptop and it's there for you whenever you want to access it, and hopefully on mobile. In terms of the courses, clubs, associations, motivated individuals within clubs can contact us. We need very minimal setup. What we really need is a classroom suitable for adult learning with AV, so that's typically a school, maybe a university setting, perhaps a reconfigured office. And then a decent field space, but it doesn't need to have permanent goals, it doesn't need to be a full-size field. So really we have a fairly minimal amount of setup requirements. We just need motivated people in communities to help us be the local organizer.
And so if I'm a club leader, how can I use these to further educate my staff or coaches?
Well, I think one of the things that all clubs are trying to do in a competitive market for player registration is to some extent differentiate themselves from neighbouring clubs. So if the club can demonstrate that it makes a commitment to coach education and actually provides information to its coaches, but also therefore is providing a better environment for the kids and the parents that are funding the program, that would be my motivation as a club leader. My motivation as a club leader would be to make a statement that our club believes in coaching education delivered from the NSCAA in the spirit of the US Soccer Player Development Initiatives, which would probably be sort of the leading authorities in this area, at least in US youth soccer and US community soccer. That's what I would be looking to do. I'd be looking to make a statement about where my club intends to go.
Great. And so for those watching in our audience, we encourage you to comment with your questions for Ian, and they might get asked on the air. We do have some questions already here from some folks. So are my current diplomas still valid?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a challenge when we make these types of transitions. So 5 years ago, we went from some titles, some nomenclatures, which were state, regional, advanced, regional, and we went to 1 through 6, and it was troubling for people. But essentially, here's how I would explain it to people. If you previously had the NSCAA level 1 or 2 diploma, the content that we have in the 4v4 was probably covered. If you previously had the 3, 4, or 5, level 3, 4, or 5 diploma, probably looking at what's covered in the 7v7, 9v9 diploma. And if you had the level 6 diploma, you've probably got most of the material that we're currently offering in the 11v11. So if you have the level 6, the next place to go would still be the national diploma. That said, we have put into these new programs a lot of mention of the current player development initiatives, which include things like field sizes, modified rules, recommendations from US Soccer in terms of playing time and competitive levels and so on and so forth. So I think they would be quite interesting for anybody, be a person with an NSCAA Premier or a US Soccer A. I think if they've got a few hours to spare on a weekend, I think they'd enjoy coming to these courses because they've been designed to talk very much about the environment, the contextual environment of every coach.
All right, we have another great question here as well. Have there been any changes to the goalkeeping curriculum?
Easy for you to say. The goalkeeping is currently levels 1 through 3, and then the residential course. That's 6 hours, 12 hours, 21 hours, and then the residential week. Probably into the new year, the level 1 will go exclusively online under the direction of Tony DeChico. And then we will still have 2 non-residential levels, 2 weekend-long courses, and then we will continue with the advanced national residential course. So we will continue to have the 4, but the change will be, probably around the new year, is that the level 1 will now be exclusively available to coaches on demand through an online platform.
Great, and so another great question here. So it's been seen that Vince Gansberg is working with the NSCAA. Did he help make these, and how does he fit in, obviously being a huge name in coaching education?
Sure. So Vince is working with the NSCAA, but both Vince and I are very cognizant and collaborate with the initiatives of US Soccer and are trying to help coaches make sense of those as US Soccer takes the lead. So Vince is, his title with us is Education Content Coordinator, and I think the title says it all really, that the majority of the work being done on these new diploma offerings is being headed up by Vince, and then certainly I'm helping and a number of other people helping internally and externally.
Great. We've got a great question from Ian McCallum. He asks, will any of the 7v7/9v9 courses be available at the NSCAA convention?
Greetings, Bainbridge Island, Washington State, Mr. McCallum. No, because they're a little bit too long. Certainly the 7v7 and 9v9 program, which is a 9-hour program. However, our traditional offering of the level 2 on the Sunday will now be an offering of the 4v4 diploma. So on the Sunday morning, people that are interested in that diploma and happen to be in LA and will give us their Sunday morning will get 3 hours of that program there. What I will say though as a plug for the convention is there's a number of different diplomas we're offering, which are specialty diplomas, horizontal learning, continuing education diplomas that will be available at the convention. There's probably 6 to 8 of those. But we can come up to Bainbridge Island if I'm invited anytime and deliver the other 2.
Ian, we received another question online on Facebook. Could you talk about the manuals a little bit? Have the manuals obviously changed with the new courses, but what does that involve, and what should candidates expect with those new manuals?
Good question. The manuals traditionally are fairly much a guide through the content, support of the PowerPoint, the presentation, but the intellectual property is ultimately, hopefully, the coach deliverer. What we've done with the 4v4 diploma manual is made it more of a workbook. So the coach, during the classroom and the field delivery, has a series of kind of activities within the manual that they can act upon. We put a crossword in there and a few sort of fill-in-the-blank type things to make it a little bit more of an engaging, interactive tool. And it also simulates a little bit of the learning type experience of a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. The 7v7, 9v9 and the 11v11 diploma manuals will look a little bit more in the traditional mold, with a lot of content that coaches can carry with them if they like having it in a hard copy. But we're going to use a lot more diagrams, a lot more interactive scenarios for them, and then we will be supporting that through the app with continuing education lesson plans, and then through LinkedIn and all of our other social media sources. So once you've taken the course, you've walked away with the manual, you'll still have the opportunity to get refreshed content that's going in open source content through our other media.
Excellent. We've got another question coming in the end. What's the benefit of taking a course in person? Why should I not just take a course online, go with the fundamentals of coaching, and stop there? What is the real benefit for this coach, Coach Dare, to go to a course and experience it in person?
It's my opinion, but it's shared by most coach educators, that there is no adequate replacement for being on the field or the synthetic surface, whatever the field is, and sharing with your colleagues and with the coach educator real practical scenarios. You can do live demos, maybe you get players involved. I don't think, certainly my current opinion is there is no replacement for that. However, because the majority of coaches in this country are not full-time and have other challenges to get to various opportunities, I believe that online offerings provide that coach with a blended opportunity. So whether they're getting in-person coaching help through a formal course, US Soccer, NSCAA, whether they're getting good in-house training from their club, which is delivered occasionally in a field setting. We really like the idea of the blended approach where the coach has online resources on demand that they can access as and when they want to, riding the bus to work. Hopefully somebody's driving when they're accessing these and they're not driving. But that blended notion. So we like the idea of turning the educational experience back over to the coach, but we would still want them to be in person. And if you've become a coach and you've got your coach education exclusively through sitting in your own basement, I would consider that not good enough.
Excellent. And you made a very good point, Ian, with the resources. What kind of resources can a coach who's taking one of these courses expect to have, not only during the course, but following the course? It's my understanding that you get an introductory membership and you may have some access to resources. Is that true?
Sure. So anybody that takes an NSCAA non-residential course, the ones we're currently discussing, automatically becomes a introductory or trial member of the NSCAA. That allows you behind the current membership wall. So once you're behind the membership wall, we have a resource library which has scores of lesson plans, videos, animations. So if you like kind of a single training activity, you can find them behind the membership wall. If you like more of a fully fleshed out lesson plan, and ultimately if you like to see videos or animations of training, it's right there behind the membership wall. Also, the opportunity for coaches to purchase some of the, at significant discounts, the lesson planners we use. Primarily in the 4v4 is the Academy Soccer Coach Lesson Planner. So that will be there. And then I would encourage everybody who's listening, our app is 100% free currently. It is chocked with content, and there is no in-app purchase. So once you're in there, you won't get push notifications to buy more stuff. So if you're looking for lesson plans, activity guides, please do download the NSCAA app and for Android and for iPhone, because that's another resource for coaches that we're providing for free.
And it appears we have gotten one more question. We'll end it at this, but this is a reasonable question. It's from Ryan through Facebook. He has his level 6 diploma. He wants to know if he's ready to go with the national. And is that the same with the 11v11 course? Is that a good preparatory course, and is that a good springboard then to jump into our national, advanced national premier?
Sure. Ryan, if you've got the level 6 and you're looking to do more, I would highly recommend the national diploma as refreshed content, as a refresher of what you did in the 6v6, in the level 6, and much, much more, because there's 50, 60 hours of programming. So I would highly recommend the national diploma, be it the 2-weekend delivery or be it the residential delivery. If, however, time and money doesn't allow for that, then look at what we would call more horizontal learning opportunities, special topics. Attend an MLS game or an NWSL game or college game. The NSCAA puts on some coach education, you receive a diploma, so you receive credit, and all of that credit appears on your NSCAA membership profile too. So you can go on a vertical approach to your continuing education, or you can go on a more horizontal approach. And certainly if you call in, talk to myself, any of the staff here, we'll be able to support you in what's next best for you.
Well, that's great, Ian. I think we're going to wrap it up today. We also want to give a shout out to our NSCAA current president, Amanda Vanderfort, who is also on live with us today. Great to have you, Amanda. We appreciate the shout out. We also want to let people know that if you are ever looking for any NSCAA education or anything like that, please visit our website. For those members, you can also check out your preseason soccer journal, which came out this last month, and with over 200 activities for you to use. We hope you guys are enjoying that and are using that to the best of your abilities. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment below, and we will answer those later on. So we appreciate you guys being on with us today. Thanks, Ian, for taking a few minutes to talk about these brand new courses. We're excited to see how they go. So thanks, everybody.